So, good morning. I'm Roger Casali from World Upshift Forum, and for our fireside chat today, we have Louise Marra. Louise Marra from ReRoot, and really looking forward to this talk and to introducing you all to Louise. So, Louise, good morning, or rather, good evening, because morning for me, evening for you. Good morning,
on the other
good
side
evening,
of the planet.
and over to you.
Yeah, beautiful to be here. Looking forward to the
Last time I
chat.
spoke to you,
Yeah.
fantastic. Well, fantastic to have you. And last time we spoke, you were actually in an olive grove, and we ended up having a long chat about your olive grove. I was at a station, train station. We also had a chat about train journeys in Italy and olive groves in New Zealand. And when did you start spending time in? Of course, it's the olive season now in New Zealand. Yeah, it's that time. So, when did you start spending time in olive groves, and why? I mean, this is a rhetorical question. Why were you in an olive? What were you doing in the olive grove? And when did you start spending time in olive groves?
Well, I love olives. They are the most beautiful trees. Like, they are so good to spend time in. So I love the picking season, and I've got olives on my little property. So I grow them and make olive oil and olives. So it's just a beautiful thing to hang out in an olive grove, and you get to really be in the trees picking. And I do it by hand, and I just love them. They are a sacred tree. Like, they are a beautiful being.
How lovely. What a lovely, lovely image. And this is on the island where this olive grove is situated, on the island where you live, which I think is called Waiheke. Have I got that right? Waiheke?
Yeah, good.
Yes.
Waiheke. Yeah. As
I can
opposed to
relate.
Waikiki, like Waiheke. Yeah, it's a
Waiheke.
beautiful island. I love living here. It's a special little island, and surrounded by the ocean, and yeah, it's very beautiful.
Wonderful, wonderful. And how long have you lived there for?
About 25 years. So I feel very connected with the land here, the moana, the ocean. Yeah, and I'm right on the ocean. You pretty much everyone is on this little island. So we're, yeah, it's special.
Oh.
And lots of olive groves.
I can see, and so 25 years, so you're obviously deeply connected with that. But it's not where you're from originally, is it? Because you're originally from, you told me, another quite remote part of New Zealand, from a tribal area, Maori tribal area. And I wonder if you could actually introduce yourself to us in the Maori way, whether you'd like to do that, and tell us about your tribal village.
Yeah, I'd love to do that, actually. That would feel really, really honoring for me. So I would say, kia ora, Roger. Ko mangapahatu te maunga. So I would introduce you to my mountain first. So I just told you my mountain, which is Mangapahatu. And then I would introduce you to my river, called Waimana Te Awa. So now I've introduced you to my river. And then I would introduce you to my people, called Tūhoi Te Iwi. And I might introduce you to some other things, but I won't today. And then I would say, ko Louise Marra tuku ingoa. So I've introduced you to my mountain, my river, my people. And I grew up in that area of the Tūhoi, Ngāi Tūhoi tribe. It's very remote. It's very old forest. It's a very mystical place. And yeah, I feel really privileged to have grown up there. So now I've kind of given you a sense by bringing you into relationship with my mountain, my river, my people.
Oh, thank you so much. I really feel enriched by that and quite moved, actually. And what it seems to be sort of saying to me is that your identity is very much linked to your connection with the physical landscape, the natural landscape, the people from there that you can't separate the two. So you can't sort of introduce yourself as separate from all of that. It's absolutely core to who you are. And so I hope I've got that right. Certainly that's what is coming into my mind. Absolutely beautiful. And I really feel, very, very grateful that you shared that with us. I hadn't understood that before about how that works. And I can see that, I think. And what I can also see is that somehow that feeds strongly into the work that you're doing, with ReRoot, which is, I mean, you've done so many interesting things in your life as a journalist and so on. And I would point our listeners to your TED talk. We'll put a link to your TED talk it's already on the website. We'll send it out with a recording of this conversation. And you've worked also for the government, for the Prime Minister's office, around big organizations, public sector. But now you're focused on ReRoot. And it seems to me that we should go straight to that and tell us a little bit about that, because that seems to me to link very, very strongly with what you just said to us through your introduction, your Maori introduction. So how do we introduce? You've introduced yourself in the Maori way. Introduce us to ReRoot.
Beautiful. Yeah, beautiful, Roger. And I really want to honour that you got what I was doing. I really want to honour that you actually got the point of it. Like, that really matters, that you could receive that. So
thank you so much. Thank you very much, Louise. Thank you.
And it's true for us. It's like people are the planet. We are the planet. So it's it's a deeply it's a holistic paradigm. And I guess my work with ReRoot and the other work I do a lot in systems change, and is the same. Like, how do we connect back into the flow of life? How do we connect as planet with the planet in the web of life to bring this connection into our solutions? So I'm very much, let's connect first and then solution make. Whereas often everyone's trying to create solutions without the connection. So that's a huge part of my work, is helping other people sew themselves back into the flow of life, but also systems, like our systems changing. So for me, it's a radical act to actually refuse to be separate anymore, refuse to be separate from this planet. And I think that would do a lot if we all actually reconnected. And of course, it's a beautiful journey.
So I love the language that you use. The idea of sewing ourselves back into nature is a very beautiful image. And reading also some of your articles and what you've written, I noticed that you said you used the phrase about nature, nothing for me without me. And that this was something that had come, this was the voice of nature that somehow spoke to you, that you had this sort of moment where you almost sort of heard a voice. I mean, I don't make it sound like you're sort of hearing voices in the night, but somehow you were, in a sense, listening to the silence.
Yeah. And where I come from, that's normal. But yeah, like, I've been into changing the world since I was a young girl. Like, that was my thing. How do we get a world where all things can thrive? And then one day in a meditation, maybe about 10 years ago, Mother Earth herself, that's how I really felt her presence, said, nothing for me without me, Louise. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm trying to work on the planet, not with her, as planet, in connection. So it really did set off a whole different kind of way of working. And the reason I wrote ReRoot, because it's different than all my systemic change work, is because I realized people really want to feel that connection, but they don't know how. And to me, trees, having been brought up in my tribal lands, their nervous system, they're built for relationship with humans, and they act as a portal to that connection. Because we can't just think connection, like, we've actually got to feel it. We've got to be in touch with our own body system. And so I learned that trees are almost like a I dare to use this word, but a quick way to re-sow ourselves. It's easier than rocks or like the ocean, because they actually relate to you. And Mother Earth talks through them. They're part of Mother Earth like we are. So I think if I talk about the global human tree forest, but if we all actually were in relationship with a tree, then we'd form a different container, weaving, connective tissue for the solutions to land. They'd be connected solutions. I'm so passionate about that. And we often have disconnected solutions, which actually sows the energy of more disconnection.
I'm loving this. I mean, I think that the and again the language. I mean, global human tree forest. What a lovely phrase. A couple of weeks ago we had Michael Kearney on from Santa Barbara talking to us about becoming. We are forest, not the tree. We are forest. Becoming forest. His project, Becoming Forest. He's a palliative care physician. I love the phrase connective tissue, being part of the connective tissue. And I want to talk more about trees, but I want to go back just for a second to that, to the message that Mother Nature gave you in the meditation 10 years ago. Were you actually on the island at the time? Were you on Waiheke Island?
Yeah. I was on the island.
Yeah. So we can picture that. You're on the island, meditating, Mother Nature speaking to you and saying, nothing for me without me, which now, what I love about this is it's a very simple phrase in a way. You know, that's not difficult to understand, but underneath it is something incredibly deep. It's one of those phrases where you hear it for the first time, think, oh, that's it, that's a good sound bite. But then you think about it a second time, and suddenly you're looking really, really deep. It's like the sunlight coming into the lake, and suddenly you're seeing down how deep that is. You know. It's a really, really profound insight. And it reminds me also of Jarvis Smith, another one of our leading lights in Upshift, who had a similar sort of epiphany when Mother Nature spoke to him when he was well, we'll have to get him to tell his story, but he had a similar voice about Mother Nature hurting and the pain, and yours is nothing for me without me. So how did that kind of, you know, what did you do after the meditation? What happened next? I mean, how did you, it was a kind of transformative moment for you, wasn't it? Because you're telling us about that phrase, but actually it's something that got inside you, didn't it? That message, and kind of changed something in you. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, beautiful, because that's exactly what happened, eh? I realized in a felt sense that she was me and was with me, and that actually I didn't have to put a whole lot of human effort, you know, so much efforting and struggle, that actually life wants to fully live. She wants to be fully alive. So joining her forces, if you like, actually creates a momentum. And I think we haven't had enough people joining that life force, but trying to, you know, I kind of talk about it as a trauma highway, that almost being led by survival instinct instead of, wow, let's all join this flow of life. So it really helped me to feel that. So I can feel in my body now when I'm in that flow of life force or when I'm out of it. And I've learned not to do things when I'm out of it, because I'm giving birth to something from separation. Yes. So I've learned to find myself back in, this, and the places that you might activate your life from, that's, you know, they can be brought back into this flow of life. So it really set off a capacity in me to feel the difference and to really refine my sense of being a planetary being.
How beautiful, how wonderful.
You are part of her. I am part of her. And also, Roger, I really want to say it makes me look at you differently. or others, you know, but you're here.
Yes.
When I see you as an expression of nature, I see you as a planetary being, not as a separate little hyper individual.
Yes.
You know, I feel you differently.
Yes. Yes.
And we've got to start to feel each other as expressions of the earth. And then we care for each other differently. And I'm so passionate about this. Like, we've actually just got to get on and do this reconnective work. It's vital.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. I'm hearing also, we have Justina Mutali, another figure in the Upshift movement, who talks about Ubuntu and I am because you are. And that links for me also very much to what you were saying before. I'm just really taken by how this phrase, how this insight, in the way that you've just so beautifully described, kind of was interiorized by you and really changed you, transformed you in terms of your understanding of yourself and your connection with others, and how powerful that insight is in terms of the potential for change. So we're going to come back to the trees in a second, also the work that you do to help others to be on that same journey and to have that same insight. But it just seems to me that it is so valuable, so important. I mean, I think if we imagine, you know, John Lennon said, "Imagine," didn't he? Imagine. If we imagine a future where we do live at peace with nature and with each other,
and that that connection is in place, hey, you know, that connection is in place, it would be such a different, it's such a different feeling, even as you talk about it. Like, it's such a different feeling if we imagine each person's really connected, rooted into that flow of life. So humans, we're all out here trying to solve a problem instead of being here reconnecting, and that would, to me, solve the problems.
Yes, absolutely. You're describing the vision. The vision, that's what you know, if we have that world, imagine a world that is at peace with nature, and then we think, what do the human beings look like that are in that world of the future? And how do we get there? It won't just be because of what we have or what we do or what we say. It'll mainly be because of who we are, because of our being, because we are transformed ourselves into a different kind of consciousness, a different kind of being. It'll be about that. And it won't it? And that's what you're telling us, isn't it? Yeah. That actually that's the thing that really counts.
Yeah. And I work a lot with environmental groups around the, you know, and it saddens me that a lot of them are so exhausted and, you know, wanting to give up, but actually they're also not working with the earth. They don't have her at the table. They don't have her in the processes. They don't have. So without being this connected to the earth, actually we're going to get exhausted because we're out of the flow of life. So I feel like it is part of that consciousness that you talk about, which is why I love the World Upshift Forum, because it is about actually a shift in the consciousness. And to me, that's a shift in the connection, the interbeing.
Well, we said, but that's a lovely way to talk about it, and I think that certainly speaks to me, and I think will speak to lots of people who are watching this, who are engaging now with the Upshift movement, coming towards it. That is the connection that we are feeling. That is the experience that people are having. I want to, and thank you for saying that. Thank you so much for saying that. I want to talk to you a little bit more about trees again, because you talked about you've been talking about nature and reconnecting with nature, and that's understanding that we are part of nature, not separate from it, that nothing for me without me, that this is our approach. But in nature, I mean, we've got lots of things in nature, including ourselves. Why did you pick trees? Why is it trees such a special part of nature? I mean, it kind of links to what I'm saying about the olive tree and the sacred olive tree, but it's not just olive trees, there's all trees. So explain about why trees are so key to
Well,
this.
it's kind of what I said before, that they are in some ways their physiology is not too dissimilar to humans. They turn light into breath. Like we breathe them in, they breathe us in.
Yes.
They're almost built to co-regulate. But in my experience, because this has got to be a felt experience, they also help pull your energy down into their beautiful mycorrhizal networks and the networks underground. Like they actually are, they're portals to relationship with the earth. They make it easy. They relate to you. You can, as you get good at it, you'll hear them. So it's an easy relationship to actually get out of conceptually that we're planet to, wow, I'm in relationship here. And I think they're apart from animals, but with dogs or cats but actually the trees pull us into the earth more. They pull us down into, in some ways we are like a walking tree. They are like a stationary human.
Yeah, beautiful.
And
you find that with the groups that you work with through ReRoot, that this is something that, that this is something that they can relate to very easily. Yeah. So we know about people like, how does that work? Yeah.
Well, pretty much anyone I work with has to make friends with a tree. Okay. So I work with New York chief executives. I work with people all over the world, and that's a requirement. And initially they might go, that's a bit weird, but actually they fall in love with the process. I haven't had anyone stay, and with groups too, say, well, this is just shit, I'm not doing it. It's like, because once you enter into a relationship, and the way that I've done it, like put your spine along the spine of a tree and feel support and start to feel your body as an animal part of nature, like it turns something on in people that they long for. Yeah. So it's, and in groups, working on systems change, it grounds the work. It softens the work. It brings Mother Earth's body to help with the challenging times. We're not on our own. It brings such a different quality. I love it so much.
So, what a wonderful thing to do. I mean, I can admit I can talk to you about my friend the tree, because I have a tree on the side of a lake which I love to swim in the summer, and I always swim over to the lake, and the branches come over the lake, and I get underneath the branches in the water, and it embraces me, and it makes me feel somehow that everything is going to be okay. It feels wonderful. Is that the kind of experience that you're asking people to have?
Yeah, totally. And then the book or the program that I've done leads you on to deeper and deeper connection. And of course, I say in the book that, with trees, you're allowed to be polyamorous.
Yes. So it doesn't have to be just one, it could be more. That tree can have lots of lovers. That tree can have lots of lovers, but also I'm very loyal to my tree. I'm very loyal to my tree. I don't like my tree having lots of lovers. But I'm very committed to my tree.
Like humans,
so, yeah, fantastic.
Like humans, we can't have really intimate relationships with thousands. So it's hard on my property. I've had to kind of pick, well, they've picked me to be in much deeper relationship than with others. And then I have like really deep relationships, probably with 5 or 6 on my property, and then good relationships with others. But you can't, it's an intimate relationship. It's a relating. It's actually a relationship.
And you talked before about a global human tree forest. Is that something connected to what we're talking about now? In other words, if we have that connection with trees, and then we connect with each other, is that? Am I getting the idea of this? How does the global human tree forest work?
Yeah, totally. So you imagine just you and I. So say you and I had to do a project together, and if there was just Louise and Roger doing a project, but actually if you brought in your tree and I brought in my tree, even right now, we'd we're together, there's 4 beings working on the project, and 2 are in such big support of healing, restoration, full living.
Yes.
So it's such a different thing that's created when people are coming in with their planetary support. Same, like I brought in my mountain, I brought in my river. I turn up differently when I turn up as a connected being, and then the project goes so differently. And I think, I mean, I had a vision of 1 million people forming this human global tree forest, and I think that would start to create such different solutions to land, because of course the future isn't there, the future arrives now, but the future arrives when there's higher consciousness and connectedness in groups of people, but that includes with the planet, not only as humans. Well, of course we are planet, but do you know what I mean? Not disconnected.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, coming across beautifully. If our dear audience watching, or others who will see this when we send the recording around, want to connect with your work and work with you and so on, how can they do that?
Well, there's my website. I have a self-paced course that people can do. There's my book that leads a lot on. And then there's also my big change work through Unity House, which is all my systems change work. And yeah, so it depends what people are wanting, if they're wanting more, more group work.
And so what's the name of the website?
ReRoot is www.reroot.world.
Yes.
And Unity House is unityhouse.nz.
Fantastic.
Both of them have got connect places. Yeah.
And you were very kind before talking about Upshift. How do you see, well, we are working together, and this is an expression of it, and our listeners will find your material on the worldupshift.org website, and also if you join our collaborative platform, the World Upshift Odyssey, you will find Louise there. And Louise, you're also going to be joining us for the solstice meditation on the 20th of June, which would be fantastic.
I'm traveling, but I'm hoping to make it work, so I have to just work that out.
And you said you would, well, if you can make it, we're going to start with you, so that the meditation starts in, but you'll be probably in Australia at that time. Is that right? You said you'd be working, Just tell us, towards the close, a little bit about the group that you want to bring into Upshift with the meditation, on the solstice meditation on the 20th of June.
Well, I haven't asked their permission yet, so I'm going to be talking to them, but we're working with a group of Aboriginal healers, amazing, and it would be amazing to do something with them if they were willing. So yeah, I mean, I'd love to be at home as well with my people, but it's just where I'm gonna be there. Yeah.
Well, for the equinox, you can do. We can have meditations, as you know, 4 times a year, just holding that still vibration of peace. So to have that, they feel that energy come into the live stream and have us be able to connect with that would be absolutely wonderful.
I would like to say, answer your first question around the Upshift, because I think what I love about it, Roger, is the lack of hierarchy and the freedom, so that it's kind of got, to me, it just breathes a lot of space and freedom to allow all different people to, you know, breathe life into this, rather than being a hierarchical old mindset organization. So I really love the way that you're doing that.
Oh, well, that's lovely that that's coming across. That's absolutely our intention. And the beautiful thing about it for me is that it's a place of gifts where people bring their heartfelt, wholehearted vision and ideas for a better world, and understanding that the first thing we need to do is connect with each other and listen to each other, and hopefully we can hold the space for kinds of conversations that will allow us to connect and have a deeper awareness. And you have brought your gift to the Upshift movement today in this conversation, and also through your contributions on our website and in other ways, and what's going to happen in the soul success. And we are deeply appreciative of it. And we look forward to speaking to you again very, very soon, seeing you at the solstice, we hope, and continuing to work with you and to learn with you, and to see how we can help to build that global human tree forest, to develop that connective tissue, and to be transformed as you have been transformed, as you've explained to us, by that very deep insight that you had in Waiheke Island 10 years ago, that with nature...
You'll have to come, Roger.
Lovely. Nothing for me without me, and voice of nature. And I'd love to, thank you, I would love to. Nothing for me without me. And I think that is the beautiful, beautiful insight and thought that I would like to leave our audience with as we bring things to a close. So thank you very much indeed, Louise, and thank you for all you're doing in the world and for the world, and for connecting us. And our hearts are very and minds are very open to your message, and may it grow and seed and bear even more fruit. So good luck and thank you.
Thanks, Roger. Really enjoyable chat. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
See you.